Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, The Novel Nana. I'm Bex. Here on this channel, I talk about mostly things that are writerly related. If that interests you, consider subscribing. I upload new content for you every Thursday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Today is a very special video. It's going to be pre-recorded and released to y'all, just so you know. Today, I have a very special guest, and we are going to be reading you some short stories. So, without further ado, please help me welcome my wonderful, beautiful cousin, Nakesha. There she is.
Hello.
Real quick, guys, before we get started and before she does her intro, I do want to let you know that we will be reading these short stories for you. They should take about 5 to, I would say, 8 minutes, possibly, for each of us to read them. And we will be using our avatars while we read so as to cut down on the distractions for you. Okay, so Kesha, welcome.
Yay. Okay. So I'm Nakesha. My channel is Write the Dang Thing on YouTube, and I post every Fridays at 10 a.m. Yeah. So reading out loud don't affect me at all. No. And so today we're doing the Pass the Prompt challenge that was created by Bex and Sai Chi.
Yep.
And the prompt that I gave Bex is driving down an old country. Okay, recomputing. Driving down an old country road and sees a sign with her name on it.
Yeah, so that's what we're going after. We will get through this, guys. Bear with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, okay, I will go ahead and put our avatar up, or my avatar, and you can do the same, and I'll just get right into it. Sound good?
Sounds wonderful.
All right. So let me do the same thing because you know how it is. Okay, so from the prompt that Kesha gave me, I came up with a story, and I've named it Coming Home. So here we go. Night fog swallowed up a starry sky on the black velvet canopy above. I took a left off the main highway and turned slowly onto the old country road. I hadn't been home in years, not since the night of the fatal car crash that left me forever separated from my twin. Where had the time gone? A fog just as dense blanketed that memory in my mind. I would stuff the remnants of that tragic night deep into the pockets of my brain and hold on to happier days. I cranked the radio up to drown my thoughts of yesteryear and proceeded onto a side road that would lead me home. The clock on the dash blinked out a foreboding number to remind me of the time of death of my beloved sister, a time I couldn't escape. The digits that flashed brought a pit into my stomach. Cicadas chirped their welcome out to me as I passed the old oak tree, the same tree where on its gnarled trunk hung a worn and weathered floral wreath, a landmark that signified I'd reached the halfway point to my childhood home, just beyond the ridge of our small town in the heart of the Ozarks. I tightened my grip around the drink in my cup holder as I made my way down the bumpy terrain. The heavy fog had me hunched over the steering wheel, uncomfortably close to the windshield, searching for my turnoff. I could barely make out the scenery in the distance beyond the headlights. Everything looked different, and it seemed no one had bothered to tend to the old road's upkeep. Everything was overgrown. I traded my death grip from the cup to the wheel. I hit yet another horrid pothole that may have caused severe damage to the undercarriage of the car, from the way it sounded, but I would worry about that later. My slow pace kept me inching along and through the washed-out gravel road and had me wondering when it would end. I zigzagged through the treacherous road, winding and turning down the sorry guys, I totally messed that up. I zigzagged through the treacherous winding road and turned down the tunes on the radio to help me focus. Tree branches hung low and scratch the hood and roof of my car, clawing their withered fingers deep into the paint job. The scraping sound, like twisting metal, sent a rumble of unease through my body. A screech owl screamed out its warning as I slowly rolled my tires over crunching gravel. I continued the drive onward and flinched at the sheer volume the cicadas had reached just outside my window. The pit in my stomach grew heavier, causing nausea to creep into the back of my throat. Sweat beads popped onto my forehead. I couldn't shake the ominous feeling that was overtaking me. Cicadas reached a crescendo just as my car hit a deep crater. The unmistakable sound of a popped tire rang in my ears. I hit the brake and grabbed for the flashlight in the glove box. The moment I stepped out of the vehicle, an eerie silence fell over the forest-flanked road. Hair prickled up on my arms and neck. I suddenly had the urge to pee. I crept around to the passenger side, unsteady as a newborn fawn. Bending down to inspect the damage, it was just as I feared. My tire was shredded. I stood, leaning against my car, when I heard a strange cry. I spun my flashlight in the direction that it came from, and then heard it again. The sound was soft, like a whimper of a wounded animal, but definitely female. I took a few steps forward and scanned the area of trees to the right. Nothing but silence. My head screamed out a warning, but if someone was out here hurt, they may need assistance. I couldn't leave anyway, not with a blown-out tire. May as well see if I could be of help. A few more steps, and I heard it again, louder this time. I shone the light a bit further up ahead, and that's when I saw a homemade street sign. Maybe there was a side road that led to another house. I didn't recall one being there, but it had been a long time that I'd been gone. I walked the stretch of gravel until I stood inches from the sign. Maybe it was coincidence or outright odd, but the sign bore my name. The shiver came back and tingled down my spine. The sound came again, unmistakable, a woman crying, close. I followed the beaten path beyond the sign and found a trail that led between more trees. I'd walked only a few paces when I stepped on a crumpled plastic wreath that bore a striking resemblance to the one on the old oak tree. I was getting closer to the sound, and as I moved through the darkness, I saw light ahead. I was almost out of the woods and could see where the tree line stopped. It opened into a clearing of sorts. That's when I saw her. Instant pain racked my hip and ribs. My head throbbed, and my lower extremities were in anguish. Blinding pain enveloped me, causing me to wobble forward on jello stick legs. I stumbled closer to the hunched figure on the ground as fog threatened to suffocate me. My chest tightened as she came into full view. A girl laying on her side, legs bent at an awkward angle, head propped on a large stone, her back towards me. I cautiously approach and kneel beside her, placing my palm on her shoulder that is much too cold. I shiver. She stops crying at my touch and rolls over to face me. In disbelief, I watch as she stands on crumpled legs and wipes her tears from her familiar face. I shine the light on the stone, which bears both our names. She holds out her arms and welcomes me home to my final resting place. The end. Okay, guys, so that's the story I wrote off the prompt that Kesha gave me. I hope you liked it. Sorry I stumbled over a few words. Feel free to critique me or say what you liked about it in the comments below. Now, as for the prompt that I gave her, we both came up with 3 prompts and picked one to write our story on. And Kesha chose to write off 2 of the 3 prompts, so bravo to her. The first prompt that I give her was, the young woman touched the tree and it recoiled. The second prompt was, a third moon appeared in the sky last night, which could only mean one thing. Okay, so now over to Kesha to let her read the story that she came up with from those prompts. Go ahead and take it away, Keisha.
Okay, so here we go. It is called Rooted in Revenge. Thorn-covered vines snaked their way across the forest floor. They lashed out at Jukaya like whips as she made her way through the dense underbrush. The sharp needles buried deep into her legs. She ripped the vines away before they had a chance to coil up her body, tearing pieces of flesh away with every handful. Blood oozed from the raw, gaping wounds, but she would not slow down. The sun would be setting soon, and if she did not reach the tree of Drana before the last light, all would be lost. She had waited too long for this chance. The third moon appearing in the heavens the night before could have only meant one thing. She could finally go home. No longer would she be forced to hide among these filthy creatures of earth. Never again would she have to wear the guise of a human. She had been made to suffer long enough, paying for a crime she had never committed. But soon she would shed this rotting corpse. She would return to Drana, and they would all pay. They would pay dearly for what they had done. She made her way into the clearing, free of the vines, her gaze taking in the sight of the magnificent, ancient tree that stood before her, its trunk, like thick cords, twisted up toward the sky. How long had it been since the last time she had stood in this very spot? 1? No, 200 years. Rage began to boil inside her. They betrayed me, Drana. 200 years I was left here, forgotten. She stepped closer, but when she touched the weeping branches that swayed gracefully in the breeze, the tree recoiled. The purple blooms closed instantly, and the limbs pulled away from her grasp. Damn this skin suit. She had worn this human entirely long enough. Drana no longer recognized her touch. Jakaya backed away from the tree. She needed to rid herself of this foul flesh. A noise behind her caught her attention. Dropping her chin slightly, she turned her head and looked over her shoulder. A sinister smile crept onto her lips. Yes, that will do. Her shoulders squared, back straight, and head held high, she walked back toward the forest. Determination burned like fire within her eyes. She herself could not free her true form, but the vines could. Then Drana would remember her once again and provide her the passage she required to take her revenge. The end. Da-da-da.
So good, so good. I absolutely loved it. Let's go ahead and put our faces back on here.
Okay.
You did amazing. I loved your story. Guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to our stories. By the time this goes up, if I did this right, then it will be Thursday. And Kesha will probably be busy at the doctor's office.
Yes.
But I will be there in the comments and the chat, and Kesha will too if she is able. But again, thanks so much. Hope you guys liked our stories, and check out our channels and subscribe, like this video, and leave us a comment below letting us know what you think. And we'll see you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.